Hey, it's Deborah Atkinson. All right, today we're going to talk about planks. You knew it was coming. So here's the truth. Planks are a little stale, they're a little overdone, they're a little overused. However, they are a great staple. So this is your plank day. So talking first about who should and who shouldn't. Number one, if you're just getting started, this is your plank. So what we're doing is between the knees and the shoulders, no matter whether you go to the knees or you go to your toes and do that full long lever, you want a straight line. So you want to make sure that this is straight. You're not lifted here. So this is really important, but so is this. So I want you to watch my shoulders. So it's important that I'm not rounded up here. I'm actually retracting. So I'm drawing those shoulder blades together and tucking my tailbone down a little bit. So watch that again. So here's arching my back. Here's tucking my tailbone down. So I've got this nice long line. Now I'm in neutral. So should you, shouldn't you? Depends a little bit on what's happening with your lower back, and it depends on how much strength you have right now. So if you can't do a plank down here, options would be to come up and do a plank so that you are coming up in a position where you're potentially going to a chair. So you're doing a plank here, and you can tell that my chair is a little bit too close, but I can come down, I can do it straight, or I can also do it on my knees, or I could go higher. So I'm lifting just a little bit higher, and there's less body weight on my shoulders, on my elbows, and on my wrists if I'm at that elevated height. So the more upright I am, the less stress on my upper body. The more you come down, the more stress you're gonna have. Now, let's talk about stressors for the joints particularly. So if I'm here on my hand, I've got stress on my wrist, on my elbow, and on my shoulders, right? If I come down here, I eliminate the stress from my wrist, but I've still got some stress potentially on the elbows, but in a very different way. You may tolerate that better than having this stress here where you may be tempted to lock or hyperextend, and what you're doing is just kind of gently resting on it. So you may tolerate this one, but we're still at a stressful point for the shoulders, whether we're on the forearms or we're straight. So you need to know who you are and remember this. There's no magic to planks. So if you're compromising so much with position that you don't actually have the work in the core, potentially it's not worth messing around with. So go ahead and choose other alternatives. We've got dozens that you can choose from. Okay, so let's get started and talk about just doing repeats. So eliminate the word just because they're all very valuable. So turning on the core, we talked about that in day one. Go back and watch that one. But turning on the core is the most important core work that you're going to do. Turning it on, allowing it to come off, turning it on again. That's what we needed to do all day to protect us from back injuries. So we want to start there before we're ever thinking, will this get me a flat belly? Will this do me more good? It's not going to do any good if you have a back injury, right? So you want to make sure that we're focused on the right things. But a repeat, when you're a beginning planker, you want to be here. We're going to hold these for 10 or for 15 seconds, and then we're going to come down. So in a lot of different ways, we're training ourselves for more muscle endurance. Now it might be that it's at the shoulders that we're actually doing those short ones and getting used to it, but it could also be for the lower back. So we would come back and we would do maybe 6 different repeats of 10 seconds, or we do 4 of 15 seconds, gradually working our way up to doing 20 seconds times 3. Math is hard. Did you notice that I hesitated there? Hold on right there. So eventually, maybe you do 2 30-second bouts, but when you can hold 1 minute and you can make that without having to pause or rest or do anything else, you're probably ready for the next level. Try to make it more difficult as opposed to holding it for a longer period of time. Much more beneficial for you to move on to a next exercise or another way to challenge yourself in this type. So here's where we'd go. If you can do that on your knees, we'd come back up, we'd hold it for short, intermittent sessions, and then come back down again and do those repeats to build yourself back up again. Once you can hold for a minute, now we're gonna do the variations. Okay, are you ready? So from here, I want you to make sure you're paying attention to a couple things with form. And I'm gonna work my way up here, but what I want you to do is watch my feet. You don't wanna be here. You wanna actually be pushing back, making sure that you're pressing. My elbows, forearms are pushing into the mat, pushing me back, so that my shoulder blades are away from my ears, so that my core is in good alignment. So again, I'm not letting this drift up, but neither am I dropping down here. So I'm right here, and I'm breathing. So I'm talking to you this whole time. If you're not talking to me, you want to make sure that you're breathing, count, do something to keep that breath going in and out. And it's just too easy when we do a static hold of any kind, stretch or exercise, to hold our breath and relax. Okay, so good long hold. That was a good repeat. Now, we can do that. We need to make it more difficult by doing something else. And by doing something else, we make it more intelligent. So let's exercise smarter, not more, right? So we're gonna move our limbs. It's what your core does all day, every day anyway, right? So you are stabilizing, you're sitting up, drop your pen, you have to reach down and get it. Well, you don't fall out of your chair when you do that. And the reason is your core stabilized you enough to have the movement, but not so much that you just lost your form and fell over. So when we exercise in a plank and we're working on core stabilization, we're really only stabilizing if something is moving. So we're moving here and just moving the arm out and moving it to the other side. Now you'll notice that you shift a little bit in your lower body, but you want to shift a little bit, not a lot. So the hand comes out, the hand can go forward, just moving and changing what's happening while you're trying to stay as stable as possible. Good, now take a little break. Okay, from here, we're gonna do a little bit more with the lower body. So I'm gonna change the legs, let them be the moving lever in this one. So as I come up here, I'm just gonna take my toe, touch it out to the side and to this side, over and back, and over and back. Reach, and again, and over, and the other side. Press out, and switch. Good, over, and over. So you can do a ladder here. So you can go 1 and 1, and then 2 times, and 2 times, and 3. You get the idea? Good, and relax. So take a little break because we're gonna raise the bar a little bit. I'm gonna make it a little bit more difficult, and what I'm gonna do is we're gonna take this rear leg, we're gonna lift it up, cross over the other one, come back out, and come down. And we'll alternate legs as we do that. Now, you may be noticing that we're spending some time weight bearing on the shoulders. So depending on what you've done, any upper body work, or you've done an upper body workout in the last day or two, you may notice there's a little fatigue up here. So this is not just an isolating one part of your core. We're actually using your entire body working together in an integrated way. All right, here go the legs. So this one looks like this. We try to keep the hips low, but we lift, cross over, out, and down, and it changes legs. Over, and out, and down. Lift, over, 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 out, and down. And really make that distinct, and over, and down, and relax. Nice job. Okay, so you get the idea. Lots of ways that you can make that more difficult, challenging, taking the upper body and moving it, lower body and moving it. Now, I'm gonna raise it up. So for the very last one, we can do almost any of these that I've just showed you from an elevated position, but there's a couple more things that you can do because now you've got room to actually move your levers. So from this lifted position, the thing you want to be cautious of is watching your elbows. Some of us are naturally more double jointed, have the ability to hyperextend, but what we all want to be aware of is we don't want to lock, we want to slightly bend, so you're actually using the muscle here. So when you come up, and again, you can either be on the knees, straight, tucking down slightly, so not an arch, but here, right? Or you can be up here. If you're going here, I want your feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart, because what I'm gonna have you do here is touch your opposite shoulder and try not to wiggle. So we're gonna keep that core straight and sole it, and touch, and touch. Good, touch, and touch, and tap, 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 tap. And I like to count 20 of these. Every one is a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so on, up and up. And we're gonna have to guess here that we're at 20 or we're almost there. Okay, take a little break. So from here, you can also do a little choreography. You may have seen these, so don't go crazy. Don't go to TikTok and to Instagram and do a trending video before you know what will your shoulders handle. And is this the right thing for you to be doing right now? But you can start playing with it just a little bit. You can alternate one arm up, the other arm up, the leg, the leg. So we're making your core adjust to all different kinds of stressors because life is never predictable. So here would look something like this. So we might say, okay, we're gonna take this out and out and out and out. Or we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 times, 2 times, and singles. Again, nice job. Good, and you can play the same way with your feet. Put on a little bit of good music and something you love, and just go with the rhythm and play with that a little bit. There you have it. Lots of ways to play with your planks, from the knees to the toes, from the forearms to the straight arms, and then every place in between, starting to add variety, but always with good shoulder form, retracting the shoulders, and with good form through the back. Tipping that tailbone down slightly, not a lot, not overly, but making sure you're not rounding and you're not letting it sag. All right, questions down below. Let me know where you got started, where was appropriate, where did it become really hard, and any limiters, shoulders, lower back, what's bothering you if something is. All right, I'll see you on the next video. Please share this.